Hi there, I'm Scott, and this is GreatScott Knitting, a podcast vlog thingy. I don't know what to call these things anymore, but anyway, hey, welcome to episode 20. Be yourself, be beautiful, be bold, be loving, be unique. At least that's what I'm calling it this week. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for continuing to watch. Actually, if you have been watching my series on Passover, a special welcome to you, because this almost seems like a continuation of the past 8 nights. But anyway, thanks for continuing to watch this podcast, this blog thingy, this channel. Thanks. If you're new to this podcast, thank you for coming to check it out. I hope you like what you find here. I talk about lots of different things. Primarily, I talk about knitting and fiber and yarn because that's what I do. I enjoy knitting. I like dyeing yarn. I like playing with different yarns and sharing that with all of you. So that's really what this podcast vlog thingy is all about. So thanks for showing up. Today is April 4th. It is Easter. For those of you who celebrate Easter, happy Easter. I hope it has been a wonderful day for you. I live in Wichita, Kansas. It has been a gorgeous, sunny, 77-degree day, clear, absolutely lovely day. Perfect day, actually, for family get-togethers, if you're going to have them. Hope you did so safely if you did choose to get together with anybody. Of course, not my holiday, didn't get together. So, but if you did, please enjoy. I hope you had fun. I hope you had safe fun. So, because I am the time of day that I happen to be filming this, which is Sunday evening, and the sun has gone down, so the new Jewish day has begun. And due to that, and the period of the religious calendar that we are in, the Jewish people are counting the Omer, which, if you haven't been watching my series on Passover, the Omer is the period of time, or the counting of the Omer is the counting of the days between Passover and our next biggest holiday, which is Shavuot, which comes 49 days after Passover. Shavuot is the commemoration of the giving of Torah to the Jewish people by Moses at Mount Sinai. And so we prepare ourselves, or commemorate a preparation of ourselves for the receiving of Torah once again, by counting the Omer, which is what we do. We count every day and every week as we move up to the Shavuot period. On the Christian calendar, that would be called Pentecost. Penta meaning 50. So Pentecost being sort of that same period of time. It fell after the Passover and the Passion activities that happen around Easter. 50 days following that is the Pentecost, which is a celebration of, or a commemoration of, the Christian Holy Spirit coming to the followers of Jesus, and preparing them to spread the gospel. I know these things because that's how I was raised. I know them better because I know now where they come from. At least some of the terminology. All right, so the counting of the Omer happens at the beginning of the Jewish day, which is sundown of the day before. And so I'm going to share with you the counting of the Omer for tonight as we get started. So it starts with a blessing. We bless the activity, which is Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu asfirat haomer, which is Praised are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who has sanctified us with commandments and commanded us concerning the counting of the Omer. And so now we count the Omer. Hayom Shimona. Yes. Hayom Shimona Yamim Shechem Shavua Echad Yom V'yom Echad LaOmer. That's a mouthful. Which means today is 8 days, which is 1 week and 1 day of the Omer. During week 1, we just counted the days. Now we count not just the days, but we count also the week. We want to cover all of our bases when we do our counting, because we're not exactly what God may have meant when He said count the Omer. So we're going to cover our bases. We count the week. We count the day. All right. So I've done that. Now, from a Kabbalistic standpoint, every single day of the Omer has a focus, as does every single week. Last week, the focus was chesed, loving kindness. And every day of the week also has a focus of an aspect of the weekly focus, which, strangely enough, is also every week we cover. It's very confusing. Never mind. Last week was chesed, which was loving kindness. This week is gevurah, which is justice or discipline. And so every day of the week we focus on a different property of the focus of the week. So we focus on a different property of justice or of discipline. And so tonight is Chesed Sheb Gevurah, which is the loving kindness in or of justice. So what that brings to mind for me is like, what is it about justice, that of the act of being just, or the actions of justice, or that concept of justice, of fairness, of everybody being judged equally and in the same manner and for their own actions. Or discipline, one could think of discipline, it's sort of connected to that, because these Hebrew words actually have multiple meanings. But the concept to me of discipline would be not just punishment, corporal punishment for something, or along those lines, but to discipline yourself, to keep yourself, in a sense, in line with your own values and beliefs. That type of discipline. Having justice for yourself. How is that kindness? What does kindness play a role in justice? Well, at least when I think about it, I think that if you want to be just, if you want to see justice enacted, one must be kind. One must be loving and caring of those that we believe deserve justice. And if we follow the idea of a just cause, or being just with our neighbors, ourselves, our friends, for that matter, our enemies, if we have them, and I'm talking interpersonal action, activity. If we seek justice, to act in a just manner, is that not being kind? To me, that they kind of go, they are kind of intertwined. To be kind is to seek justice, not just for yourself, but for others. Because if it is just for you, if it is justice for you, should it not also be justice for another? Interesting things to contemplate. as we go into this new week. So anyway, that's how I have been, the things we have been doing over the Passover week. Feel free to revisit my nightly musings on the topics that come up with the counting of the Omer. It is a fun activity. It requires discipline, being true to one's values and goals and direction. But yes, so counting of the Omer is something I will probably be doing until we reach Shavuot. So for each of these weeks that I join you, I will be counting the Omer on those nights. I may occasionally pop on to count the Omer along with you and share some of my musings about whatever topic is at hand for that day. So anyway, welcome to this episode of GreatScott Knitting, a podcast blog thingy. I still don't know really what to call them. So let's get into the knitting, because really that's what you came for, not all this other interesting but yet somehow nonsensical stuff, at least when it comes to the knitting world. So what are my finished objects? So let's jump into that world. Ooh, I am all over the place. Okay, let's start over. Finished objects. I have two finished objects. The first one I'm going to share with you is my Close to You shawl by Justyna Lorkowska. I have knit this shawl in the past with some different yarn, of course. And I really do enjoy this shawl. It is very simple. It's mostly garter stitch. It has that little chevron-y, well, I wouldn't call it chevron. It's just a little lacy activity there on the end, which is fun. And then it has this picot edge bind off, which is also very fun. I knit this using Louisa Harding yarn. The base is Amatola, which is an 80% wool, 20% silk blend, so it is super soft. And it does have a lovely sheen. Let me see if I can share some of that with you a little closer. Give you a little close-up view of this. Ta-da! So you can kind of see there is a slight sort of shimmeriness to it, which I think is that silk, which is is also just very lovely. It has such a gorgeous drape. I love just how this knit up. It's just so pretty. So anyway, this is a pattern by Justyna Lorkowska, which is right there. She is a lovely designer. This happens to be one of her free patterns on Ravelry, published in Letty's Knits. She also has a bunch of other really fabulous patterns out there, and we'll talk about those a little bit later, because I am actually deciding to sort of run down the rabbit hole with her catalog of patterns, because I started looking into what she has, and she just has so many lovely things. So I just kind of wanted to give you guys a peek into what she has designed a little bit later, though. Cool. So what else did I get done? I also got done my March socks, and I did get them done before the end of March. Oh, my nose is itching. So these are just lovely. I'll pop them over here and see if the better lighting with my optional camera. Oh yes, this is much more true to the real color. So you can see these lovely, lovely striped socks. The yarn is Lion Brand's Mani Pedi in the colorway of Crew. These are that is a 75% wool, standard wool, 25% nylon. They came in 50-gram balls, so I didn't use the entire ball on either sock. So, but yeah, woohoo! Got my March socks going there. So I also did some dyeing recently, as I did finally bite the bullet and get some acid dyes. I got some Jacquard acid dyes from Dharma Trading Company. I got 9 different colors, but I decided to start with my primary colors just to do some playing around, and came up with this skein because I got them on like a Saturday, and then Sunday I was like, I have to break them out. I have to try to play with them and see what I can come up with. Give you, of course, a better view of that. Let me get rid of some of this other, so maybe it's a little easier to see. But yeah, just use the primary colors, just the fire red, brilliant blue, and I think it's called bright yellow. The red and the blue did create some purples, but the red or the green and the blue did not, or excuse me, the blue and the yellow did not really punch out a lot of greens. There's just little hints of it, and some just little hints of orange. But the red and the blue did definitely blend and give me some purple. So I wouldn't call it really a rainbow, as it is very much representative of primary colors. And then, of course, there's some white space left behind as well, which I think is just kind of fun and nice. But I loved what it did, and I have some ideas of creating some companion skeins that will go with it. I'm thinking a tonal gray to go along with it, and then maybe a speckled skein with possibly like red, blue, yellow, and black speckles, just to try the speckling with the powders. So that's that in terms of my finished objects. And I am just pleased as punch. Oh, the pattern I always use for my socks is the Nathan Taylor, who is the Sockmatician on YouTube, his toe-up socks. I love the toe-up sock because with the heel, I don't have to pick up stitches, and it just is. It always just seems to be perfect. So I really love that pattern because it's just so simple. It just makes life very, very easy for me. So let's talk about works in progress. So I'll take my finished objects and set them to one side so that we can talk about the whips for cow. Okay, so let's get the easy one out of the way first. Let's talk about my April sock. Okay, April sock is this piece. Let me get my that other one out of the way so we're not distracted by it quite yet. So here's my April sock. The yarn is a knit crate yarn that I got. It is Audine Wool's alpaca sock in the colorway called Napoli, which is this lovely gray-green tonal piece. And lots of micro-striping kind of going on here. It is 60% superwash merino, 20% alpaca, 20% nylon. 400 yards at 100 grams. So absolutely pretty, very lovely. And I decided to change it up a little bit in that instead of just doing a plain vanilla sock, I'm adding a little bit of texture on the top, which really comes across very well on camera. It's a little hidden in person, but I don't really much care if the color of the yarn hides it that much. It's more of a texture thing, and it doesn't really need to have lots of definition to me, although it defines really nicely on camera. But it's just a really simple knit purl pattern that's creating some waves along the top of the sock. And then there's the bottom. But anyway, just to give April just a little bit more interest as I go through that knitting. Now, what else I have on the needles? I'm so excited because this is just so exciting for me. So, I don't know if y'all remember, last time I podcasted, I had gone to a local yarn store up in Newton, Kansas, and that local yarn store is what's it called? Creation Station. Absolutely lovely place. Anyway, I picked up some skeins of yarn by a local dyer called 316 Dye Studio, and I picked up 3 skeins, and here they are, in Stardust, Dapple Gray, and Dried Lavender. So these look absolutely lovely, but see now how they have been knitting up. Pop it across this way. The name of the shawl is called Color Stripe, and the designer is Josh Rybinski. We talked about him in a prior episode. I love his shawl designs. Absolutely adore them. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. Now, earlier this week, I cast this on last week, and I got to about here, and I was like, ooh, this violet doesn't pop all that well with against the Stardust, which was the dark color. But then I said, you know what, no, I'm going to persevere, I'm going to keep going. So I just kept knitting, and then I got to this big block of it, and then all of a sudden, boom, it started to pop. And then I got to this section where there's a little bit of color work going on between the dapple gray and then the dried lavender. And then getting up in here where we have some short row chevron things going on, and then back into the dark color with some chevron things happening. I just think it's gorgeous. I just love how the colors are playing with each other. They complement each other, yet each of the colors sort of pops out and stands alone in various sections. So I'm just super pleased with it. Even looks nice on the backside. The backside is even cool. Love this design. Yeah, so that's the design, and that's the designer wearing his prototype for that shawl. which he went with very, very bright colors, and mine are a bit more muted, but I love how mine is turning out. If you we talked about him a while back. If you haven't checked out his designs, please, please, please do. They are a delight to knit. They're always interesting. They're always a little bit of fun, and yeah, and they're always just absolutely gorgeous. They're always just beautiful. So I've been working on that, and my toe-up socks. I still am working on my flax sweater, and I'm still working on my blanket. It's just they have not been a priority for me as the weather is turning much warmer. I do hope to get my flax sweater done before the summer solstice, just so it's off the needles and I can say I'm done. The blanket, I don't know. I don't know when that one's going to come off the needles. That one may just have to sit till spring, or until the colder months again, till we get back to fall. Don't know. So yeah. So we talked about color strike. All right, so let's talk about acquisitions. My acquisitions are, let's see, I can put this one away. And bring this one over here. Got to get everything in order, so I'm talking about my acquisitions. All right, my acquisitions. So yesterday I went to a lovely local yarn store up in Hutchinson, and that by local I mean an hour away, and picked up these two beauties. Yes. The first one here is an Araucania yarn. And the base is the Velasco sock, which is 75 superwash merino, 25% polyamide. The colorway is called Valparaiso. It's 100 grams, about 433 yards. This is really beautiful speckled and splotched skein with definitely some purple and some lime green and some lovely blue all together. And that purple, there's some paler sections which almost look gray. Just absolutely gorgeous. I think it'll make some really pretty socks. The other skein is a Manostone Uruguay in the base called Alegria. The superwash merino polyamide blend 75-25, and the colorway is called Cabaret, which you can see is this lovely black and pink and gray and white, almost like a flamingo kind of look to it. So yeah, really find that one. I saw it and I was like, no, it just seems. And then I was like, no, I gotta have it. It just seems so bold and crazy. And I had to. I have that skein of yarn. So again, I think that'll make a lovely pair of socks as well. Yeah. So that is that in terms of my acquisitions. In terms of fiber, I picked up a few things for dyeing as well. I picked up a new scale that gives me the ability to measure out hundredths of grams as opposed to whole grams, and I picked up some beakers, so I can actually start really getting into what I want to do and understanding the color a little bit more. Yeah, so okay, that's it for the whole fibery stuff. So, what has been keeping me busy? Well, number one is um, yeah, here we go. So, number one, I went to um, the wool market and DIY school yesterday, which is a lovely um, yarn shop in Hutchinson, Kansas, which is about an hour, a little less than an hour northwest of Wichita. And the wool market side, so it's this one, relatively large building. On the one side, on the left hand side, as you look at the store, is the yarn shop, and it's very quaint, and they have a nice selection, not a big selection, but they have a nice selection of yarns, as you saw a couple of things that I picked up. But then on the right hand side, there's this very large open space which they can use for classes. And unfortunately, last year during COVID, they pretty much had to close any kind of classes and in-person workshops down. So they didn't have any this past year, which is something that they hope to be able to pick back up as people get their vaccinations and are and people can start gathering safely again. So I did get to go see that. What else? Oh, so I have been watching. Last weekend, we as a family watched Hillbilly Elegy on Netflix. If you have not seen this movie, oh my God, it is so freaking good. Number one, based on a true story, based on a novel, or really a memoir written by a gentleman who you learn his story in the movie itself. The reason we watched it was my nephew's therapist suggested he watch it because of the similarities of the upbringing of the main character in that movie. In terms of, a mother was less than available and certainly not the best of influences. Very much small town, and very much what his experience growing up, and really, I mean, I saw aspects of that story that I understood very, very, very well, having lived some of that myself. Not the neglect and not the abuse side of it, but certainly the environment was very familiar to me. Anyway, really great movie. The casting was absolutely spot on to the original actual people that they were portraying. Amy Adams plays the mother. Glenn Close plays the grandmother. And they are the epitome of the actual characters. They do, at the end of the movie, show the actual people that they are portraying, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing what they do. How they very much look like and mimic their actions. So it absolutely well done. Ron Howard directed, and so it's a must-see on Netflix. Hillbilly Elegy, really a good film. The other thing I have been watching a lot recently on Amazon Prime has been old. Well, of course, it's not. I guess you don't call it reruns because it's really not what it is. But Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It's a series that I started watching, and I've tried to do this several times. I've not gotten very far because I get kind of bored with it. But my understanding is if I plow through and get to like the third season, which keep in mind it's like 60 episodes because there were like 15 episodes, or something, like maybe 20 or 30 episodes per season. I mean, this is a long time ago when it really wasn't that long ago. It was in the 90s. But I guess that's like there are adults now that don't remember that time. Um, anyway, um, so yeah, it's I have to get through those first couple of seasons to get to where it really starts to get good, is my understanding. So getting back in, and I'm going to slog through. I'm almost through season 1 and getting ready to head into season 2. So most of these I've seen many times, and so they're familiar. So that kind of makes it nice, as a reminder of their familiarity. But it'll be interesting to see the characters grow and change as we get into the later seasons. Because one of the aspects that I loved about Star Trek Next Generation is you got hooked early on, but then it was also fascinating to see the characters grow and change and evolve through the years, into some very interesting people that you wanted to continue to visit. And I've yet to make those types of. Well, there are some characters like I'm very interested in watching the young boy on Deep Space Nine and the young Ferengi, and see their friendship grow, as well as their characters to evolve and grow and become more three-dimensional. So anyway, Deep Space Nine is what I've been watching. I do enjoy it. It's good, light watching for me. It's been nice not feeling like I needed to keep an eye on politics over the past few months. I'm a political junkie, but it's been nice kind of taking a break, not feeling like I need to keep an eye on what's going on in the seats of power, because I don't feel threatened by the seat of power as much anymore. Locally, it is a little different story. The state of Kansas is not exactly a hotbed of liberalism, so that still gives me concern. But as a nation as a whole, I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable. So that being said, okay, let's talk a little bit about the lovely person that I want to talk to you about, which is Justina Lorkowska. She is the designer of the shawl that I just finished called Close to You. And she is a mother, knitter, knitwear designer from Poland. And some of her things are just delightful. Of course, I'm going to look first at her shawls and cowls, because that's what I love to knit. The ones that really have jumped out at me are the Holyrood, which, as you can see, just a lovely lace and garter stitch and color work number. Looks really fun to knit. I'm really interested in these bands here in the middle and down here, these little color work slip stitch bands. I'm interested in how those are done. So I really think that one's pretty. I am also drawn to really any of her color work and short row aspects. Um, where was it? There was another couple that really jumped out at me. Oh well. Oh, the Aisling one. The Aisling shawl also kind of jumped out at me as being really pretty. So you can sort of see that looks like there's some cabling along with the lace in a couple sections, which I think is very, very fun. Oh yeah, definitely a cabling thing going on here. So that looks fun. So I'll pop back and look at some of her other designs as well. She does some really nice things with color and texture, and that, like, here's a mosaic cowl. Look at how pretty that is, and with some simplicity. Oh, here we go. So there's just some nice mosaic color work going on with some yellow and white and then some grays. But again, it's just simple textures, simple open work with some just nice colors. And it's not that anything she's doing is particularly difficult looking. I just think she does it with really nice effect. And it just makes very pleasing looking garments. This is a nice cabled sweater. Really lovely. It actually looks like a really lovely yarn that she chose there too. But it's interesting construction with the way the sleeves are dealt with. So it's kind of an interesting piece. I'm not a big sweater knitter, so I'm just kind of popping into seeing and looking at things that strike me as interesting. Oh, again, some nice cable work on that sweater. I really like that. Oh, and I also like the neck, giving it sort of this slouchy turtlenecky kind of look to it. Looks very, very cozy in terms of a sweater. So I don't know. That might be something interesting to look into if you are a big sweater knitter. And I am not. So there's that. Some nice color work hats. Ooh, that one really, it's a really lovely hat. And again, I don't do color work either, but yet that's something I need to. That's something I really want to explore is color work, and that looks a little over my head in terms of color work. But I absolutely do adore her work. But yeah, she is a former teacher. She's into knitwear and knitwear design, and loves designing sweaters and accessories. Her true passion is unique garments that catch the eye with their intricate detail and beautiful finishing. If they can be seamless, that's even better. And she lives with her husband, 2 kids, 2 cats in Poland. So there she is. Just looks like a lovely woman, and I love her designs. So there she is, Justina Lorkowska, also known as Letty's Knits. And that is Letty's Knits, LETESKNITS.com. Check her out. I'll make sure that link to her website and to her Ravelry page are in the show notes for you to peruse at your leisure. And so we come to the end of another episode. I hope you have enjoyed my blathering about my knitting and my fibers and the folks that I find interesting as I look at as I look into the fiber world and the knitting world. I'm kind of enjoying focusing in on either a designer or a dyer as I go through these early months of 2021, as I decide maybe where I want to go in terms of just my extra stuff that I like to add in. I like to do a little teaching when I can. And it's more actually for my own education. And I hope then that I can share something out with you all as well. So thank you for joining me. I always appreciate your feedback and your comments on the shows that I put out and on the content that I provide. And because I love doing this, I really do. Even though for the most part I am an introvert, but my life, my work is somewhat extroverted. And over the past year, I felt a desire to connect with people. And this is one way. I wish there could be more feedback, more give and take between us. But the best way to do that is through comments. At some point, I'm hoping in the future to be at a point where I feel comfortable enough to maybe try my hand at a live session. I used to do somewhat a little bit of editing to these things, but I've stopped kind of doing that. I'm just letting things fall where they may. And if it turns out that I make a mistake, so be it. It makes it much more real, and it's who I am. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it. You can find me on social media. I am on Facebook, where I have a Facebook page called GreatScott Knitting. You can just simply do a quick Facebook search to find that. I'm on Instagram as GreatScott Knitting. I often post finished objects, acquisitions, dyeing, things that I'm up to, inspiration photos, all that kind of stuff there. You can also find me on Ravelry at GreatScott KCMO, where I also have some designs that you can check out and take a look at there. I'll have those designs also linked in the show notes. There is a Ravelry group there, but I haven't done much with it. Again, I'm hoping probably around the podcast anniversary to maybe do a knit along. I haven't quite decided, and if I do, it would probably be maybe around a designer or something along those lines to keep it open to what people might want to do. So look forward to that, or if you have ideas about what you would like to see as a knit along, pass those along in the comments as well. So I hope you have a lovely day. I hope this day that you watch this show is also lovely. My day that I created it has been nice. So with that, may you have peace in your home and the fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Good night.